This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC Vegas 63, Kattar versus Allen. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. We're going to talk most confident picks, the lock of the week, my favorite underdogs, props and value bets, and then we'll finish it off with the parlays. Last week was a W. We hit on both the lock of the week and the dog of the week, being Islam Makhachev lock, dog of the week, Bilal Muhammad. So we got some momentum going into this episode. Let's start it off first with the most confident picks. Now, first is going to be Max Payne Griffin over Tim the Dirty Bird Means. I like Griffin's stand-up game. I think he's got a lot better movement than Tim Means. I see him probably being able to outstrike him in a fairly competitive fight. I do think it goes long. Odds for this fight, Max Griffin is at -190. He is the favorite here. Over 2.5, I think, is really likely. That's at -155. That's a good play. I see these guys going the full 3. I actually think that's a really good over 2.5. And then decision prop at +165 is also pretty possible for Max Griffin here. I see him as a good pick over Tim Means. I think Max Griffin matches up well stylistically with the stand-up. I think he has the edge striking. I see him defending the grappling attacks of Tim Means. And I also think Max Griffin is the quicker guy with the hands, landing more significant strikes. Over the 3 rounds, we're riding with Max Griffin as a most confident pick and a pretty solid bet. I believe so too. Next is going to be Chase Hooper, a.k.a. Ben Askren's son. I'm riding with Chase Hooper at -285. I know it's not a good tag. He's fighting Steve Garcia, who's got some good stand-up, but Chase Hooper has a clear advantage as soon as this fight hits the floor. I'm going to bank on him doing such a thing. I think cage work, especially in that small cage at the apex, he can maybe get to the back of a Steve Garcia, and I think he finds a submission. +250 for the sub prop on Chase Hooper. I like him a lot over Steve Garcia. I know it's a little bit of a wide money line. That submission, I think, is pretty damn likely. If Chase Hooper is fighting, I think you have to throw down win by sub because I think it's a real possibility here against Steve Garcia. That is the actual official method of victory, too, that I think he wins by. Chase Hooper, -285 money line, I think is a pretty quality pick. Next one is going to be Phil Hawes. He's sitting at -185. He's fighting Roman Dolidze, who's a really good grappler. Phil Hawes is the better wrestler. I think he has the better boxing. I think he's a lot faster standing up than Roman Dolidze. I think he's going to be touching Dolidze up on the feet. I think he'll be fending off takedown attempts. I think Dolidze's best attack offensively with grappling is to get Hawes against the cage and look to get to the back from there. Don't think it's going to be easy to do on Phil Hawes. He's not an easy guy to control, and I think he's really getting better and better, has shown really good improvements in the stand-up. I know he lost to Chris Curtis, but up until he got dropped in that fight, he was looking crisp with his hands. I know Dolidze's got the momentum a little bit on his favor, beating Dawkins in such a dominant fashion, blitzing him with a huge shot, but he's not known as a knockout artist. He was able to show power in that fight. I don't think he's going to be showing that same power here against Phil Hawes. I'm picking Phil Hawes to win over 2.5 rounds. I think it's a quality play at +100, and the official prediction is Hawes to win via decision. But KO TKO I was originally thinking, but as the week goes on, I am thinking there's a likelihood of this fight going the full 3. Don't love the prop side of things. I prefer Phil Hawes money line, and maybe because it's +100, you sprinkle that over 2.5 alongside of it. Now let's talk the lock of the week.
Waldo Salcido Cortez Acosta.
Waldo Acosta Cortez -200 money line. I think he's going to beat Jared Vanderaa by knockout. He's sitting at +150 for that KO. I think there's a real legit chance he sleeps Vanderaa. 4-fight losing streak for Jared Vanderaa. Undefeated heavyweight Waldo Cortez Acosta. He has a pretty good stand-up game, pro boxing experience, knockout power in his hands, and I think that he has pretty good takedown defense also. Not that I'm super concerned about the wrestling of Vanderaa. Now, Cortez Acosta carries that power. He has a knockout of like a guy who was out wrestling him for a lot of the fight, and he gets that, later stoppage. He carries it for all 3 rounds. Maybe the money to throw down on is KO round 3 plus 1100 for Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think that could be a sneaky prop bet to play. I think the KO in the 3rd round is possible. I definitely think KO is going to be possible throughout the entire fight. And I see Jared Vanderaa out on this one. I think he's going to take his 5th straight loss in the UFC. Momentum strongly against him, whereas Cortez Acosta is on the way up. He's just signed off the Contender Series. I think this is a must-win fight, and I think it's a highly likely win fight. He's a confident pick, the most confident of the week. Lock of the week, Waldo Cortez Acosta. Let's talk about some of my favorite underdogs. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you haven't. Dog number 1, and there's 2 of them, and the second one will be the dog of the week. This one I like a lot, though. Khalil Rountree, plus 140. He's known for knocking out pro kickboxers. Dustin Jacoby, former pro kickboxer. Jacoby's the favorite, minus 160. I like the chances of a Rountree KO. That prop is at plus 315. I see heavy power in those Rountree hands. I think he can touch a guy like Jacoby, who fights well from range, manages distance, but ultimately, guys have closed the gap and touched them. I mean, Michael Oleksiejczuk, who doesn't have near the power of a Khalil Rountree. If Rountree lands, he can put the lights out of Dustin Jacoby. I think there's a pretty good chance that he does such a thing. I like a money line at plus 140. I love that KO prop at plus 315. I think Khalil is live for the KO throughout the entire fight. Now, underdog of the week.
Trayshawn, Mr. Vicious, Gore!
Trayshawn Gore. A lot of people are going to hate this one. I think a lot of people have given up on Trayshawn, but I'm not one of those people that's given up on him just yet. I think he's sleeping Josh Froome. Froome is too goofy on the feet. He doesn't have great footwork, in my opinion. I think the chin is there to be hit. He's a very upright and tall guy. Trayshawn has serious knockout power and explosiveness. He's plus 140 as the dog. The KO prop is plus 300. I love the KO prop. I love the chance of him getting the win. I think money line's a good attack. Trayshawn Gore is a super good underdog this week. I'm actually super excited for him to get the win because I really think that this is the proving point matchup. He had a tough loss to Brian Battle. At the end of the day, Brian Battle's a real prospect, and there were still moments for Trayshawn Gore in that fight. He was a little gun-shy, I agree. Gets blasted by Cody Brundridge. That sometimes happens in the fight game. I don't think we can write Trayshawn off. He has huge advantages as far as power and explosiveness goes in this fight, and I think Josh Froome is just too hittable. I think Trayshawn's sleeping him in the first 2 rounds. I like Trayshawn Gore as this week's dog of the week. Plus 140, KO prop plus 300, and I'm super hyped to see Trayshawn bounce back. I think this is going to be a great performance from him. Now, I do want to talk about some props and value bets that I like for this card. Allen versus Kattar going at least 4.5 rounds. Going over 4.5 at minus 135 is a quality play. I see this fight as a 5-round chess match, technical war. I think if you're playing money line on either side, it's going to be risky territory. Official pick, I've been riding with Calvin Kattar, but I don't love the money line attack. It's near even odds, pretty much pick'ems everywhere you go. If you want to throw down on it, you definitely could throw a little bit on that Kattar side, but ultimately Arnold Allen is really live, and I think that over 4.5 at near even money is a really good play. So consider it, I would say. Next of the prop slash value bets, this one, Marcos Rogerio de Lima to submit Andre Arlovski. I'd call this one a Hail Mary, but it's at plus 1,000. And I just have a weird feeling that Andre Arlovski could be put on his back in this fight and submitted. I think at plus 1,000 money, it's better going for that over a KO line in that plus 175 range. That just doesn't do enough for me. Marcos Rogerio de Lima money line is like minus 260. He's a really wide favorite. I don't love the idea of money lining him down. I could see Andre Arlovski somehow tit-tat-tatting him, moving and slipping on him like he's been doing to all these heavyweights and winning a really close decision. But more likely, De Lima pushes with heavy forward pressure, tries to blitz him, maybe drops him with a big shot and then chokes him out. The knockout's live too, but I like the plus money of the submission more. So if we're looking at the value of the betting side, plus 1,000, De Lima by submission is a really good Hail Mary in my opinion. Joseph Holmes versus Jun Young Park. I think we're going long in that fight. Over 2.5 rounds at minus 155. I think is a really good play and a confident one for me that I will be throwing down on. I like that a lot. Now, let's jump to the parlays section. If you guys haven't, smash the hell out of the like button. And if you're new, subscribe. Let's talk about some parlays. Waldo, Cortez, Acosta, and Trayshawn Gore, lock of the week, dog of the week, play plus 250. That's really good plus money, and I think there's a pretty good chance this could come through. Now, if you're like, listen, I don't want that dog in my play. You're like, stay away from Trayshawn Gore. Understandable, or maybe you're just looking for variety. Cortez Acosta, Chase Hooper, Phil Hawes, plus 230. I like this play a ton also. Next one, I'm going to remove the lock of the week just to, add some diversity to it. We'll go with Phil Hawes and Chase Hooper at plus 115. If you want to keep it diverse and still have the lock of the week out, which I don't think is necessarily a terrible idea, just to, give you variety in case things ever went sideways. Not that I'm expecting them to, though. You go Chase Hooper, Phil Hawes, and Carlos Mota. I know Mota wasn't even included in the confident pick section, but I do think he's going to win against Cody Durden. It's just he's so new to the UFC. I don't love the idea of any money line attacks. I would rather play it on a little bit of a parlay that I go lighter on, but more as a diversified play. For that, though, you'd get plus 250 if you're riding with those three. Some quality potential plays there. Now, if you want to go with an over 4.5 rounds in the Kattar versus Allen fight, and then you add in a Chase Hooper and a Phil Hawes, I think this is another good one with diversity, plus 275 for that one. Now, let's just talk Hail Marys. You're looking to hit the home run and cash as much as possible. We're going nuts with this one. Phil Hawes, Trayshawn Gore, Max Griffin, Chase Hooper, Waldo, Acosta, Cortez, and Khalil Rountree, plus 2,770. That's really wide. Potential on it. Now, if you went the exact same, but you add in Kattar versus Allen over 4.5 rounds, plus 4,900 for that. You'll be sweating on that main event, but I think it's pretty likely it comes through. Some parlay ideas for you guys. Don't go crazy with the parlays. I think keep it on the safer side and then maybe have a couple real light sprinkles of Hail Marys. 2 3-fighter maximum for your most likelihood of success. And I got to say, I'm feeling that Cortez Acosta and Trayshawn Gore parlay a ton. I love doing the lock and the dog parlay. Let's see if we can bring the heat 2 weeks back to back and cash on both. I believe we're gonna. Can't wait for UFC Vegas 63. I will be live for the full card, so make sure you tune into the Fight Companion. Much love, my people. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of this week's Best MMA Bets. Smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the picks. What are your locks? What are your parlays? What's your dog of the week? And if you don't have anything to say, but you just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat. Much love, my people. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everyone.